kind of mage is it? And the gameplay is on, so we see it's mech mage and face hunter. So, a really great opening hand for Kaldi. You will only drop Wolf Rider here.
So
And-
my worry about with this matchup for the face hunter is that Mech Mage with the Anoyotrons is very capable of answering your threats.
Yeah, another
Anoyotron is the most like crucial card for the early game there, it feels.
it can represent like a healing touch. 'Cause it can soak up two different attacks, and two different attacks from face hunter is basically at least 5 points of damage. Most of the time, of course. So we'll be seeing Glaive Zuka here. Do you think that like Kaldi will go for the board control?
I would probably go for the Mad Scientist play. But I wouldn't fault him for getting the Haunted Creeper out in case of an Oyotron. Because if you get the Haunted Creeper, even if it dies, you're still getting the 1/1 to trade into an Oyotron. So I could see that being a good option, but Mad Scientist seems just as good, if not better in this case, but we'll see exactly what he chose to
He's
do.
playing with Scientist and Freezing Traps in Face Hunter.
It might not be Face Hunter. We saw Wolf Rider. Maybe it's just a weird hybrid between both decks, but I would be surprised if it wasn't
If there's a
hyper
Wolf Rider
aggressive.
in Hunter, it just has to mean it's an aggressive deck. But
I want to believe otherwise, but I guess you're right.
I think the Hunted Creeper turn 1 will be the best, because then you play Glaive Zuka on turn 2 and trade for that Cogmaster, you know? And if you play Mad Scientist, the Glaive Zuka doesn't achieve much, because, you know...
It trades with the Cogmaster, you get your Explosive Trap out, and then things go out as usual, but right now
Oh,
RDU
wow.
has no hint of what's currently in Kaldi's hand, because...
This is
what is
awful.
Kaldi's deck? Because right now what RDU knows is, I see a Haunted Creeper, and that means nothing.
Yeah, but that blank turn 2 might be very, very crucial in this game. We see that he has like double pair in his hand, so 2 of those cards are basically blanks. That's a problem.
Yeah, the Spider Tank also pretty weak to Freezing Trap in this position.
Frostbolt, not exactly what you want to draw next for your upcoming turn. Like turn 4 will be Pirate Shredder most likely, unless you want to drop that Frostbolt with a ping. But still, the Abyss of Surgeons will get Kaldi a really great trade here.
Kaldi trading up that Spider for... this is perfect. I mean, the Glaive Zuka buff and the Abusive Sergeant dealing with a 4-attack mech. Really, really strong play. Now, this is a pretty weird board for RD to deal with. Whatever he plays, you know, is probably going to get answered immediately by the Hunter.
Yeah, you have to trade something. But at this point of the game, you're giving away your cards for free, you know? Especially if that Animal Companion will spawn a Leog, then you can trade your spiders for second Spider Tank. It's basically insane. So you're trading you're trading 6 points of mana for 2.
Yeah, I do like the line of play he's taking here. Just playing a Freezing Trap, forcing that Spider Tank back to RDU's hand and to make it cost even more. And that's going to be really problematic for RDU, because going forward he's got no other ways of triggering that Freezing Trap, and he has to play the board control game. And it's not really something you can do.
Yeah.
That's a bit problematic to say the least. I mean, Antonidas in this matchup right now is probably going to be completely dead. You will not have time to play the guy.
What will you need to draw in this situation is in Blast Mage and a 2-mana mech, so that's not even possible.
Oh, Misha.
Well, that's...
It's better than Leok. It's better
Yeah.
than Leok.
Well,
and even
is
Huffer,
it?
possibly.
Is it? Like,
I don't
Leok
know.
gets you 4 points of attack. That would be great, because then you can silence the Parted Shredder and trade your Mad Scientist or Abyss of Sergeant into it.
Oh, no, I'm talking for RDU's position.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, okay.
Kaldi's position is so good, I don't even know if there's anything that could be bad at this point. He might have gotten
You're right,
anything,
you're right.
and he would be probably pretty... I wouldn't say far ahead, but in a pretty good spot. So he can use Frostbolt, Ping here to negate a lot of minions, if he wants to.
Wouldn't you play just Parted Shredder ping Ironbeak Owl?
This line of play is pretty honest. It says he's going to be using his second Frostbolt and the Ping next turn. Oh, ouch.
Oh, wow.
Well, wait. Yeah, you have to play that.
Yeah, you have to play that.
Push for the damage.
That does nothing RDU can do. Like, Okay, maybe Blast Mage. Blast Mage might be crucial here.
I don't think Kaldi can afford trading at this point. He's got such a
No, no,
small
no.
hand. He considered it for a second, but he decided to opt for the aggressive play because
Oh, look, there's the Blast Mage.
wow, an amazing draw for RDU in this position. This could be the thing that saves the game. It kills Misha.
So that's not bad.
He can
And you
kill
trade,
Lothar.
yeah.
Oh my goodness, this
And you
hit.
can then ping the Ironbeak Owl, so that's really insane. But still, Kaldi has 6 points of damage in his hand with a Leper Nose, so that's 8, and a ping this turn, so that's 10 points of damage. So he has only to draw like a single Wolf Rider or Archon Golem to win the game.
Yeah, honestly, unless RDU plays anti-heal bots in his version of Mage, I don't think this is going to be a very easy game for him. I mean, he's got the Brewmaster for St. Patrick, so I guess at least he's on theme, but besides that, I really don't see much for him to do.
Yeah. What can you do? Second Blast Mage, well, there's no Mech Mage. I mean, no Mech.
Anybody got mechs for that?
Like, if you would have a Mech on board here,
Yeah.
maybe it would be doable. Like, just to with a withdraw from Kaldi, then you can basically play Antonidas next turn and win the game. But without the Mech, it's really looking bleak because now you have to trade.
Looking bleak, the question is, even if he does wipe the board, can he even outrace the hero power alone? Like, even if Kaldi stops drawing from now on,
Yeah, that's the problem.
can
So-
Kaldi even lose because the Leper Gnome deals 2? Hero power is guaranteed to deal another 2 per turn, so effectively Kaldi has his opponent on a 3-turn clock.
Well, you have to kill the Mad Scientist, ignore the Leper Gnome, and ignore the Hunted Creeper, right? Yeah.
Alright, so RDU is going for the...
Knife Jackal, that's pretty bad. That doesn't
Well,
do
you
anything.
can trade that creeper if you want, but you might as well
Do
just
you
go
really?
face.
I don't think so. You want to do that. It's like, no, it doesn't change anything.
He got Freezing Trap, that's not Explosive Trap.
Okay, so he will now trade the Leper Gnome into the Panda, because it's basically the same outcome as with attacking, but your Freezing Trap will get then value from the...
Actually, if you
From
just
the
go full
mage, right?
face, if you go full face,
You will go full face anyway, but you can sacrifice the Leper Gnome too.
yeah, to get the extra, it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
the damage is exactly the same either way.
Yeah, exactly. So you will win the next turn anyway. RDU has to find 13 points of damage? I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, well, he's got 10 on board, but he can't use it because Freezing Trap's going to negate that, and this is definitely going to be game here for RDU. He might just concede in this position. There's no reason for him to drag it
Yeah.
on, and he gets, you know, really well played by Kaldi, bringing an aggressive hunter. I don't know if he pinned RDU on, you know, a freeze mage or anything along those lines, or a slower deck, because face hunter was in this case pretty viable, although RDU had a pretty mediocre starting hand
Yeah.
for mech mage. Really, really bad curve.
That turn 2, basically lack of anything on turn 2, shifted the game in Kaldi's favor, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
If there would be, imagine if there would be like turn 2 drop with Mech Warper or Snow Chugger, he would have dealt additional 3 points of damage and will have more board presence. So then the hunter can't really allow Mech Mage to have a mech on board because the Tinkertown technicians have more value. The Goblin Blast Mage will instantly clear your board. So you have to. He has to deal with those creatures on board, and that means he doesn't deal damage to his face. So it's basically a win-win for Mech Mage here. But still,
Yeah.
he didn't have that, so his hand was blank, pretty much blank.
And the interesting part is that Blast Mage is such an important card in that matchup as a mage, because you want to, you know, against Face Hunter, because of the ability for the Blast Mage to wipe the board nearly clean. If you
Yeah.
can get that mech to live and stick, it's really easier for you. Then again, the interesting part is that Kaldi was playing 2 freezing traps, denying that spider tank from sticking around in the early game. And that was also a pretty big tempo swing, because that spider tank alone might have been able to do some decent work early game.
Yeah, maybe. Well, you can't really be sure if that maybe explosive traps were just playing better because they pushed for the damage, and so he would have the game won the game like earlier and still trade for the minions because he would have the second trap anyway from the mad scientist. And then you play
So
completely differently type of game when you know you have explosive traps and you can trade.
yeah, you let the opponent make the bad. If he goes face, your agenda is getting further, and if he doesn't go face, it's fine for you because you just he trades with minions, and you're just gonna lay down. You're gonna put charge minions down, hero power, and get the health down. So
exactly.
Kaldi's Hunter is now locked. His lineup remaining is Rogue and Warrior. RDU has Hunter, Mage, Pally. We're being told that RDU is going to stick to his Mage, and Kaldi is going to move on to his Rogue. So Rogue nowadays has a slight edge, as we've mentioned, against Mech Mage, depending on how the deck is built. But in general, that tends to be true. It's not a huge lead. It's about a 5%, I guess, lead on it. Well, 10% it adds up because 55-45, creates a 10% difference. But in general, I would say that Rogue has a slight edge, but it has to be played pretty well to be able to counter the early aggression that the Mage can pack.
Well, let me also change the topic for a second because
Sure.
the lineup of RDU is pretty much weak to a Rogue. Hunter, mid-range Hunter, weak to Rogue, right? Mage, weak to Rogue, kinda. Paladin, weak to Rogue. But on the other hand, Warrior will be weak to Hunter, Paladin, and Mage, at least in theory. So this might still be turned around by RDU here.
This is the game that's going to decide whether RDU has a really good chance of getting that series or not. So we're going to have to see exactly what he gets. And he finds double Snow Chugger in his starting hand here, which means he could get that Rogue frozen for a little while.
I think you just keep the whole hand here.
I kind of like it, yeah. I mean, Mirror Entity prevents the Violet Teacher openers. If he gives you a 3-3, you're pretty happy with that. Snow Chugger, is a big threat to a Rogue. They need to get rid of it.
And you don't really care about any one-drops because they can be easily killed by any creatures at all or spells because the Rogue has the coin, right? So a agent with a coin is basically winning a game against Mech Mage if there's a Cogmaster.
Yeah, you want to be able to get that lead, and he finds 2 backstabs in his starting hand.
Wow.
It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter that he's got the SI here. As long as he's got the backstabs, he's gonna be fine.
And there's a really weak draw with that Mirror Entity. That will be one of the reasons why you should have kept that Snow Chugger just to not get the. Oh wait, he did draw the Antonidas. I'm not exactly sure. Like the image is flipped, right?
Yeah. He mulliganed the first Snow Chugger for Archmage, and he found the Mirror Entity right off the top.
Yeah, that's unlucky though.
All right, so this is probably going to be Kaldi's decision here. He has to deny that Snow Chugger, but do you wait until you can backstab it? I think you have to just deal with it now. The question is whether or not you coin out the Deadly, or if you backstab and attack into it.
I think you backstab and attack. It doesn't really matter if you're being frozen for an additional turn, because most likely there will be no Clockwork Gnome to attack into it, and that coin will be really crucial to get your huge 3/5 Violet Teacher on turn 3, right?
Yeah,
and
you
also
want to get that value.
Want to remind you guys, those games are live. Those games are live because the first game we had today was pre-recorded. There was some issues with Archon last week. So those games from today on, RDU versus Kaldi, and the upcoming matches are all live.
Yeah, they're all live events. The thing is, we had to cast the game because Team Archon was busy last week. So Kaldi taking quite a long time here to make that decision. How to deal with that Snow Chugger best? Do I Deadly? Do I not even address it and get a good Blade Flurry later and let it hit me in the face a few times? How do I deal with this?
Yeah, you just backstab and attack with the dagger, I think.
I think he disconnected.
That's unlucky.
Oh yeah, he's frozen in time. I can't believe I didn't notice the Nosdormu effect there.
There's no sand. There's no dust. When Nosdormu is being played, there's the dust that you use to craft it and being useless, and it's just dusting the game. Well, that's pretty unlucky for Kaldi though. Like, he has really insane draws. So I don't know if it's an issue with ESP provider or if it's a DDoS. I don't know.
DDoS, boys. What I'm curious about is whether or not this game's going to be replayed, because it is very, very early. It is possible. We're waiting on the admins to give us a judgment call here. If Kaldi gets DC'd, whether or not this is going to be a replayed game or if we're just going to keep going Give
Well,
RDU the default.
RDU will wait here for the rope, so fair played from RDU. Or is Kaldi mind gaming us into a super value blade flurry?
So you just
Yeah, you just
dagger.
fake the AFK, and then RDU is just throwing everything on the board like a madman. Goes face, and there's I was just bluffing. I got now like a double blade poison attack.
Well,
phase.
he's cutting it close right now. He's cutting it very close. If he's trying to bluff me, he's got to show it right now. And he's not bluffing me. I think he legitimately dissed me.
Okay. Well, he got
Definitely not.
frozen. Disney frozen.
It's not even freeze mage. You'd think. Well, Snow Chugger just lagging the game out. I guess that's the hard counter to Rogue. You just play Snow Chugger and their game freezes. Nerf Snow Chugger, boys.
Burp. I don't know. Kinda lucky though.
Well, that's it's kind of underwhelming. I was hoping for really good free, because the matchup is so close.
It all depends on the blade flurry value, like in my opinion. If there's a
Yeah.
blade flurry, most likely,
Rogue takes the win if they can get
Yeah.
one good board wipe in general.
Well,
so that's
okay,
kind of
it's not like a rule, but most of the time it turns out like this. Still, the mage player can just whip the HP points of the rogue down, and if the rogue doesn't draw the Farseers, the only heals that he has in the deck, he can finish him off with fireballs. That's it.
yeah. It's the best way you win. I'm just curious to see here. Apparently,
Okay,
the
I
game
think
is
we'll
going to
be-
get postponed for now. We have either the win's going to go to RDU by default or the game will be replayed. We are getting word from the admin that it will be 1-1 right now. So
Okay.
RDU is going to equalize with Kaldi by virtue of the disconnect. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen, but as we mentioned prior, if RDU won that game, which in this case he did, his matchup was actually pretty favored against the possible follow-ups.
Yep, possibly, but still, we can't do much in those situations. We are not even sure if that's an tag or it's just an ESP problem, because if that's an ISP problem, that's not even the player's fault. It's not anyone's fault. But what can you do? In every single online game, the outcome will be the same, just to lose.
Yeah, it's kind of
that's how life
unfortunate.
goes.
Yeah, the game was unfortunate. I'm still waiting on news whether or not Kaldi is going to be relogging on, because he's got an entire series. We're still, only 1-1 here. He could go up to 3-2 if he gets this, or even 3-1. So
Yeah. But
it's just a matter.
when I had those issues with tournaments, I just like back up myself with an iPad always on the side with an LTE connection, so I'm not tied to my ISP. So whenever I'm dropped from the connection on like ladder or a tournament, I just instantly go to my iPad, just click connect, and it changes from my PC connection to the LTE, and I'm safe.
Yeah, well, we're still waiting for Kaldi's to answer him, and that's probably a good trick, by the way, if you're playing online tournaments, just to have a backup a backup device from which you can connect.
Mhm,
But the
yeah.
thing is, if it's the ISP, then obviously that won't help you at all, unless you've got a, wireless direct connection to the another ISP itself. What I'm curious about, though, is whether or not Kaldi's going to be able to recover from this. If he does come back, which I suspect he will. I mean, RDU's mage is now locked out, which is kind of fine for RDU. He doesn't really mind that. But the rest of his lineup, he's got a hunter, he's got a paladin. Kaldi has rogue and warrior. RDU plays whatever he wants, let's say. I guess the rogue could still beat hunter and pally. That's, totally possible for Kaldi to sweep from here.
Well,
but if the rogue gets eliminated, then
if
the
I would
warrior
have
is
to take
particularly-
chances, I think like Kaldi would make like a 2-0 or 2-1 in this case, because he will win with the rogue in the upcoming game. But then he will be in a really tough position to win those warrior games against hunter and paladin, because when paladin goes for like turn 8 masterful battle quartermaster and you don't have a brawl or like a massive board advantage to wipe those creatures, then you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah, when however, the paladins in the metagame, you might be packing a bit more whirlwind effects, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we have seen some metagame changes in the warriors lately. So, like the bomb lobbers, additional whirlwinds, or
Yeah.
floating berserkers because they are 3 mana creature which can contest the board with their insane attack value. So we got some messages from the admins that they are waiting for Kaldi to respond and to have an answer soon. I know you guys waited so long for the break, so yeah.
Yeah, I really want to apologize for that because we went, after the first pre-recorded game, there was a delay with the players that we were meant to cast right now, but there was a problem with that, so we had to take a longer break than usual. Then we come back in, we get a game in. Second game, it lags out, so really apologize for that. It's not, this is not, Kingwin Pro Caster League. It's really, you're supposed to be watching games, not the casters just talk back and forth about daily events. So, that being said, I want to re-emphasize something that I haven't really spoken of so far today. We're not affiliated, this is not a charity event per se, but we're still affiliated with Kingwin, not Kingwin for Charity, but Child's Play Foundation. So much like the Kingwin for Charity events, you can, if you want, donate to that foundation. We still have the counter during the game. You probably saw it go up about $20 today. I think it went up from like 280 and something to about 303. So thanks for those who donated. And yeah, if you want to donate for that good cause, that'd be really appreciated by someone.
Thank you, guys. That's really sweet of you. Okay, we are getting some answers here, and Kaldi is relogging. So most likely a temporary problem with the ISP. That would be my guess.
I hope it doesn't
don't
happen
say,
again.
don't say.
Okay, I hope it happens again.
That's even worse,
But I can't jinx it if I go for the positive way, right? You can't jinx when you wait for something bad.
Reverse jinx it,
So it will never happen ever?
Never mind.
Or doesn't work the same way you think it does? That being said, so we should be going out for the third game here. Kaldi will be really disappointed of having lost that rogue match because he had a really good hand. Violet Teacher, double backstab, deadly poison, and blade flurry. Everything was lining up for the perfect counter to a mech mage, even with a good start. So he's got to feel a little bummed out after that loss.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll have to see what will be the next games between those two players.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be Rogue for Kaldi. It's too good against mid-range Hunter and Paladin not to take. It's like the matchup against Pally is so lopsided. Not a 90% lopsided, but it's like in the 70. Some people do say up to 90% favored if the Rogue plays it flawlessly. I'd venture to say it's more in the 70% to 80% range for the Rogue.
I wouldn't say that. I would say that none of the decks that are in the metagame have 90% of win against another deck. That's just not possible in the long run. When you would just play like 100 games of Druid versus Warrior, I bet that the Warrior will win like 30% or something like this.
Yeah, maybe even 40%, depending on how the decks, are built and how the players play out the matches. But Druid has a good matchup against Warrior, but not, in the 90% range. I think the only matchup that is that lopsided is Control Warrior versus Freeze Mage, and we don't really see much of those anymore.
Well, if there's an Antonidas in the Freeze Mage, I would even say that it's like 80 to 20, but not 90.
Yeah. So Paladin is a pretty bad matchup for RDU against a Rogue, but his mid-range Hunter, at least, we say mid-range Hunter, but I don't even know what type of Hunter it is.
Yeah,
all I know, it's another face Hunter that Kaldi played just against him, and RDU might be playing the exact same thing, bringing another hyper-aggressive deck to his roster.
By the way, imagine if you're doing internal testing in Blizzard and you get a task. Okay, we want to test Freeze Mage against Control Warrior. You have to play 100 times that game. Like, oh.
I'm writing a false report and I risk getting fired, but I'm not playing those games.
But you have to attach the video files.
You know what I think? You play 5 games, you record them all, and you loop them. Right? 20 times for 100 games. I bet you they won't even watch it. No. Nobody is gonna watch 100 games of that specific
matchup. That's very Polish of you.
You're allowed to make that joke. I couldn't say that. Oh my god. Alright, so we should be ready any minute now. Kaldi versus RDU. Again, sorry for the delay. It's still going on. Oh, wait, unfortunate event caused by the internet provider is going to mean that RD is not getting the game. Actually, there's going to be a rematch. It's going to be, again, Mage versus Rogue. So it'd be nice. It'll be nice here for Kaldi to get a chance to maybe make his Rogue work against Mech Mage. It's not a, super lopsided matchup.
Yeah.
But
Kaldi will have an option to redeem himself, so we'll have to see how this pans out.
Yeah, really curious to see, because his hand previously was amazing. I don't know if his next hand is going to be as good. It's going to be really hard to top double backstab Deadly Flurry.
Yeah, well, we'll be starting in few seconds, I assume.
Yeah, we should be starting now, I guess. I'm not exactly sure what we are waiting on. Maybe waiting on the players to relog. All right. Well, Rogue versus Mage.
Yeah.
What's coming up?
Yep.
So here's the deal about casting. A lot of people don't realize that in the chat, but there is only so much you can do for dead air filling, right? So we're doing our best here because we've got a delay on our hands, but quite frankly, I'd like to see you in our positions right now. I could do the trivia thing again, but some people in the chat get quite frustrated when I do that. Exactly.
We can talk about we can talk about the next matches. Like, we can also introduce the guys to the schedule that is will be after this match. So after this match, in the blue corner, Savish, and in the red corner, Gara.
Yep. And then I think we have Strife Crow. This is going to be playing against Brian Kibler
of Kibler Gaming,
of course.
And Striker of Cloud9 Gaming.
So I want to just get this right once in my life. So it's Brian Kibler from Brian Kibler Gaming.
Yeah, from emkgaming.com.
Good. All right. So apparently the players are ready to start, even though we were gonna announce all the matches that were gonna be coming. So get ready. You're about to see a real Rogue versus Mage Mage match, that is. So hopefully this one ends up finishing completely, and Kaldi doesn't have more problems in his internet connection. So on this note, I hope you guys will enjoy this.
Okay, so now it's still a great opening hand for Kaldi,
Kaldi's got his Flurry, he's got his Deadly Poison.
I would have keep the Deadly Poison Blade Flurry, mulligan away Prep and Phantom Lives, I think.
Yeah, and he does exactly that, which makes a lot of sense. And he gets his Violet Teacher, also a pretty important card, and he's on the coin.
Now RDU hasn't. Well, maybe not all full hand. Maybe not all, but still. Double Blade Flurry, wow.
Well, there's an upside to RDU's hand, is it curves pretty well. The problem is there were no one drop, and of course the one drop is a little late. RDU curving out a little awfully here.
Wow. Double Deadly Poison, double Blade Flurry. That's one of the best things that can happen against a mage, I think.
We'll see what RDU gets from now on, but if the Rogue is forced to use her face a bit too often and doesn't find the Earthring Farseers, RDU stands to get a pretty good chance at getting the damage in. I mean, if he gets his Fireballs, his Frostbolts, this is still anyone's game, but I have to say,
oh wow,
Kaldi's hand is looking amazing right now.
That backstab is like super important. Maybe not even this turn, but you can use it this turn. Well, do you play Dagger, Deadly Poison, kill the Annoytron, and wait? Because then you can play that Violet Teacher, Coin, and Coin.
Yeah, I think this is the play.
You have so many options.
You don't even have to use the coin. You can just go for Violet Teacher backstab and attack. It will depend on what your opponent plays, of course. It will depend on what the opponent plays. So RDU here is faced with a few lines of play. He can choose to play the 1 minion Mechanical Yeti, or go for a little bit more subtle approach with a Cogmaster and one of those 3 drops. I'm not sure which one is better, but I like Mirror Entity.
Well, it's easy for us to say, because we know what's most likely gonna happen.
Yeah, Violet Teacher comes down and he gets...
If you will be in the RDU shoes, then you're like, everything is viable. Dropping Yeti is okay, dropping Spider Tank and Cogmaster is okay.
Well, let's see what he gets, and he finds a
Mirror Entity would be awful, man.
Yeah, it's pretty good for him that he didn't play it this turn. So we will see what Kaldi decides to do here. I wouldn't be surprised to see just a Violet Teacher backstab trade into the Yeti, but we'll see exactly what ends up happening. I mean, he's got a pretty good hand, but at the same time, it's missing a prep. It feels.
Does it? I don't think so. Like he has the insane combo with Thinkbuster, Sharp Sword Oil, Blade Flurry, and Pirate. It's really insane.
Yeah, it's gonna take a little while to set up though, because as long as he doesn't have the prep, he needs quite a bit of mana to execute.
That's only
This
7,
is-
you know. If you manage to get a dagger the turn before, is only 7 points of mana. So that's not really much because you have the coin. So if you do that on turn 5 and keep the dagger up with both with both durability points, then your turn 6 is just crushing.
Alright, so RDU here pondering whether or not he has to remove that 1/1 for fear of Tinker Sharp Sword with a prep play, but he used a Fireball on the Vile Teacher, so he decides, you know what, I need the damage to the face right now. 'Cause
Second
if I don't
backstab,
take
wow.
it, it's gonna be devastating.
Second
Wow.
back. So now this turn you ignore the spider tank. You maybe do you even? I think you even ignore the Cogmaster, you know. But it kind of just telegraphs a really huge Blade Flurry next turn. So RDU might just go, you know, face with everything and play Mirror the pink.
Well, you could backstab the 3/2 and use your Deadly and 1/1 to kill the Spider Tank and be a little boring, but
Then your
You've got no
hand
board,
is really,
yeah.
like
it's pretty weak.
Nothing
Because you can't get the kill,
you
unfortunately.
you have to get the value from the Blade Flurry if you want to win this game. Now the question is, okay, he doesn't go for the Blade for next turn, so he goes for the Tinkers, which is also fine.
Yeah, so is he gonna rush down the Faith? I think he's gonna use his weapon on that 3/4 possibly, or trade a 1/1.
That's really weird. I would
Whoa.
like to see him trading the weapon for. Well, or maybe not. Maybe not. He will be at 14 points of life, so maybe that's better.
And the minion just gets pinged, is the unfortunate reality.
It is getting pinged, but at the same time you're buying yourself time because the mech mage has to use his mana to, you know, ping.
But you want him to use his mana because you can just get more Blade 3 value, right? The more stuff he puts down,
yeah.
I guess the more you're gonna get out of that BF.
So now you want to use the Blade Flurry and get 4 points of damage to your face? Or
You could take your
just-
time, but you could even just attack the Yeti if you want. Thing is,
With the
leaving
Deadly
mechs
Poison?
up. Oh man, wait. So he's playing Lothar before he kills the Mad
okay.
Scientist because he doesn't want to give his opponent a
But
Lothar.
now,
This is so wonky.
now you can go for 6 points of damage to the face because you can't really. You won't win without that, I assume. But you're so weak to Blade Flurry. But what can you do? Like if you trade, you can trade Yeti Peng and Blade Spider. No, you can't.
I
Maybe
do
that-
like this line of play,
yeah.
actually. He's just replacing the Yeti with a 4/4, and
That's not
he's
bad.
denying another Tinkers if one more were to come around.
And also, he kind of denies the Blade Flurry. Now, when you see the hand of Kaldi, he's like the best draw that he could have in his opening hand. So Deadly Poison, Blade Flurry, doesn't really get any value.
The problem with his hand is that it's not transitioning well at all in the mid game because the Fireball and the Violet Teacher basically denied every type of board presence that he was hoping to get. Unfortunately for RDU, he also doesn't have that amazing of a board presence if you think about it. Like he's got that 4/4, he's got that 2/2, but he fully expects them to die right away.
So now he wants to trigger Mirror Entity and use the Eviscerate to kill the Tinkertown Technician, which is something I wouldn't like to see because now Blade Flurry will be much better than the Eviscerate.
I would have played Blade Flurry here 25 times out of 10,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I am not.
Now you trade
Kaldi.
the pirate here. That doesn't make any sense.
Wow, okay, so Kaldi's taking a really unorthodox line of play here in this matchup, and he's gonna get punished pretty
that
severely by
will
Dark
get
Doctor.
Really. His face is like, and that happened.
Kaldi can't feel too good about that. I mean, what are you gonna do, sap a Dr. Boo?
And now, I just wanted to say you're being punished for not getting for not having the eviscerate, but he just did draw it, so he can clear the board. Blade Flurry into eviscerate.
But imagine those boom bots. Look at that damage. This
You're
risks
getting
making
really
putting him in
low. You're like
exactly.
really low, and that's that. You're being really. He was really greedy, and now he's even more greedy. What's happening now?
Alright, so the thing is, rogues tend to run Earthring Farseers sometimes. Oh wow, those
Oh,
boom
bombs
bots.
for one?
I think so.
That's bad.
That was
But
pretty
still,
bad for RDU.
still as RDU, you can't really feel bad because he just used 2 eviscerates.
And you know 2 of his cars are spare parts, so
Yeah.
what follow-up can he really have at this point? Is what you're asking yourself.
So now at Blade Flurry with a single deadly poison is not even clearing the board, and he will just pink every single turn Rogue's
Until
face.
Fireball comes around, or Archmage Antonidas. Either of those will be amazing,
Well,
but now the
wow.
Violet Teacher comes out. Really, really strong draw here for Kaldi. You can play Violet Teacher and completely wipe this board if you opt... Well, actually, no, that Violet Teacher lives.
Yeah, right, you're right. That's a mirror entity. I forgot about that.
So he attacks the Violet and then Blade Flurries, but how good?
Then he gets 3 points of damage, 6 points of damage next turn, 7 points of damage next turn. So Frostbolt is lethal.
And Fireball. There's many cards in RDU's deck right now that threaten the lethal.
So he kills the mech for to deny the next lethal that can happen with a Goblin Blast Mage.
I do like that line of play just because it's pretty consistent.
But you
with
know
him
that
trying
your
to
opponent
survive.
has 2 spare parts. So you're basically saying, okay, I will use the second Blade Flurry and I have to top deck Fan of Knives just to deny your 1/1s. So I think you'll go nuts because you have to get those 1/1s on your board and you can't really think about top decking and deny this. It doesn't really make sense.
Well, what's funny in this position is that usually Rogue, the power of the Rogue deck is that they hoard cards until they're high enough on mana that they can do one big play. And after they make that one big play, they end up winning because they dump everything, including preps, on you in one turn and then burst you down over the course of 2 to 3 turns at the most. But Kaldi's had to play the, one card for one card. Well, that's gonna
Never
change.
mind.
Actually, there's no eviscerate. What was he gonna do? Sap, I guess. What's that doing?
I don't know, but I really like RDU's play with the time reminder of Violet Teacher.
Yeah. So wait, Fan of Knives. You could find. Well, you can't
Well,
find
you
anything
can't-
that's gonna help you really. I mean, you
Why-
kill the 1/1s.
why would you-
You can kill everything. You might live. There's a possibility that the
I don't
rogue
know.
still wins this.
Oh, okay, can kill everything. Yeah, I forgot that it's 4 attack. Never mind.
Yeah.
So-
That sprint was probably the only card that would have possibly
No way.
saved Kaldi, I think.
So
and
now
now he's gonna heal.
Heal for 6 points of damage.
Yes, he
That's-
will.
That's really unfortunate for RDU. Like, he had the sap. Well, that's even better. The
All
game
right,
was
well-
in RDU's like grasp.
Pocket. Yep.
Yeah.
It was really, really close, and then the sprint came around. And it's really unfortunate for RDU that this outcome happens. But then again, last game, Kaldi had a pretty sick hand. They did rematch.
But to be honest, Kaldi had a even more sicker hand this time.
Yeah, with the
Because
double
he had
deadly.
both deadly poisons, both blade flurries. That's really unfortunate for RDU. Like,
Yep.
you can see him kind of tilting now.
He needs to find a blast mage with really good hits. And he finds-
Frostbolt, one turn too late. It would be lethal the turn before. So now it's 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, and 14 with the dagger, right? 14 with the dagger, so you have to go... Oh,
So he's not opting to go face here, despite the fact
now
that...
you can't win.
Well, fireball might still be lethal if you hit with if it hits the face, right? If the Azure Drake hits the face, because those Farseers have already done their healing. So the rogue needs to find another sap.
But he will trade.
Well, he can trade, but that gives you another minion, and he loses his board, which buys you time. So I guess there is a decent possibility
3-2?
that RDU maybe does swing back in the game, but it's going to be nearly impossible, and it's going to involve back-to-back top decks.
Yeah. And you're not... You have no chance of winning this turn, and you get
You're
11,
dead.
12... Yeah, you're dead.
You are dead in this position, so he has to clockwork, ping the clockwork, find an emergency coolant, and hope that he can freeze the enemy's Azure Drake.
But then you have to
that-
top deck a Pyroblast, and I think that's the case.
And
No,
that is a cloak field, which is no help to RDU, so he concedes to Kaldi, who takes and again maintains the lead in the series 2-0. So RDU is in a really, really bad spot. He's got only a hunter left, facing down a rogue, which is going to be able to out tempo.
No, man.
Right.
No. This is Conquest.
Right, that's right. He sticks to his mech mage. I casted a Last Hero Standing. Oh, man, okay, over the weekend, I casted a Last Hero Standing tournament, and I'm so confused because it's like the only tournament that's left using Last Hero Standing in the entire history of Hearthstone. And every single time I kept calling the things in Conquest. It took me 2 days to adapt, and now I'm back to Conquest format.
Yeah, so now Kaldi will be left with the warrior against the full lineup of RDU. So Hunter, Mage, and
Paladin. There's a Paladin.
Yeah,
There's a Paladin in RDU's lineup. So if RDU goes for Pally or Hunter, he's got a pretty good chance of taking the game. Be right back. There's somebody ringing. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, so guys, next match will be Kaldi playing warrior against RDU getting with Paladin. So how the matchup most of the time pans out is that Paladin will want to get his mini shielded bot on turn 2 because those are the best minions you can get against the warrior because the weapons are kinda missing the point of trading with the mini shielded bot, and then most of the time the Paladin will want to hoard the Masterful Battle for turn 8 with an Quartermaster just to get the additional minions with more than 2 HP points on board, because that's how you win against a warrior most of the time. It's also the same strategy against a druid. When you just push for more minions that can be dealt easily with AoEs that are just for 1 point of damage, you will get a win most likely.
Yeah, so the we were talking about the lineups that they had, and I really think Kaldi is going to at least win possibly the Mech Mage game, which he might lose his warrior, to one of the, to the Paladin and the Hunter. So RDU can equalize possibly very easily, but it's the third game that's going to determine everything, if anything, because I think Pally and Hunter have a pretty good chance of equalizing the series. Overall, I think they're a deck that can do that.
Yeah, totally agree. We'll have to see how it pans out. I still think RDU can easily win this game. So, well, maybe not easily, but if he will get some amount of luck that he was lacking in game 1 and 2, then he will squeeze out this game.
Yeah, Paladin is also pretty good. The thing is, it's so easy to make adaptations to a warrior deck, as I mentioned earlier, that actually deal with Paladin in a much easier manner.
So he kept Masterful Battle, but mulliganed away Belcher, and can't remember the next thing that was being played. Well, anyway, double Fairy Winix and Gorehall is kind of reluctant.
The Gorehowl is an interesting, card for Kaldi to include, but it's actually a really good one to have against Paladin. Because usually you don't have enough removal in your deck to deal with the threats that the Paladin pulls out, but the Gorehowl allows you to deal with multiple threats at once.
Oh, I don't like this at all.
That's a pretty heads-up play from Kaldi, playing into Fiery War Axe and feeding his opponent a free coin and a free 3/3. I guess his thought process was to play into Acolyte of Pain, but this is such a random play from him.
You mean from RDU?
Yeah, just coining out the mind control tech. There's really very little point to doing so in this position, is there?
Yeah,
I can't figure out what the point of it was.
Coining out Masterful Battle would be much better. Well, maybe not exactly, because then you have nothing against the Acolyte of Pain. So yeah, but now.
Yeah, he was playing into Acolyte of Pain, which is the only reason why you get the MC tech out, but you're also feeding that. Then again, you know what's cool? In this matchup, I guess, as a Pally, is there is time. You have a lot of time ahead of you, so you waste the coin immediately, but it might not even be the most relevant thing, right?
Maybe I'm over dramatic with that one. Maybe you're right. Cruel Taskmaster, now that's really great draw.
We're gonna see what Kaldi finds off the top. He finds a Sylvanas.
Wouldn't you just play Cruel Taskmaster and go for your Acolyte of Pain to trade with the Piloted Shredder?
I don't think you have to, since you have the Spellbreaker to use with your axe, and your Acolyte of Pain stands to get possibly 3 cards.
But you kind of want to get the silence on the Tyrion, right?
Yeah, but as I said, Warrior is easy to tech against Paladin. It's one of those things where I've seen Warriors run Gorehal, double Spellbreaker. It really depends on what Kaldi's build is, and he's brought some really, unorthodox decks so far to the tournament. The Warrior's pretty low on health. I didn't think I'd be able to say that, but 16 health already on turn 6.
And if you
Pretty
would,
huge amount.
I think, well, I think the Spellbreaker last turn was kind of weak to clears because now you would have additional bodies on board, with the Piloted Shredder, and
Yeah.
then you have still one turn to silence something or the Tyrion. Second Taskmaster will change anything. Yeah, it can, but it's still. I think that's the best Doctor Boom turn you can actually do.
I like Gorehal quite a bit quite a bit more, just because the big problem you have against Pally is they put down a 1/1 and something else. They put down, a minion and something else, and getting that something else out of the way easily, or the minion itself out of the way, is pretty meaningful. And a shade of Nax in RDU's
That's
Paladin
nice.
deck.
That's nice. That's really nice. I like the addition of the Shredded Extremis here. But imagine if RDU would have Dr. Boom here. What would have just happened there? Like, you almost instantly lose.
I guess, yeah, Cruel Taskmaster. Yeah, this would have been a really tricky spot for Kaldi, but fortunately for him, there was no Dr. Boom.
The great value of weapons is that they can be used as charge minions. And
Yep.
you just denied yourself a turn because you played the Dr. Boom after the weapon.
You know what? RDU threatens a really strong kill on Kaldi over the course of a few turns. If he can handle that BGH into Dr. Boom. The problem with this play is that it leaves your Shade vulnerable to the Boom bots, who then trade into your stuff. So you've got to feel a little awkward about it.
Well, you have to play Become Hunter. Well, I really like the Tyrion thing.
I
Maybe
think
you
Tyrion
just...
is a bit better.
Yeah.
We'll have to see though if he ends up going for the anti-heal bot or the BGH hero power. I just, it's so dangerous when you're facing down boom bots, and your Shade of Nax right now is kind of the win condition that you've got.
I thought he's using the Shade of Extremis to kill a bot. I was like, what?
No, he's considering a lot of things, but
Yeah, there are a few kinds of play you can do. I like Tyrion, I like Knife Juggler, Big Game Hunter, Flip, or maybe Knife Juggler, Hero Power, Big Game Hunter. In this order.
well, we'll see what he does. He goes for the BGH on Dr. Boom and is going to be trying to soak those boom bots with the Juggler and the BGH. Hopes he's not going to get his Shade
he hit
killed off.
the Falted Shredder, and boom, goes to Big Game Hunter. Of course, this force of 4 damage, so...
Alright, well that Tyrion, if it doesn't get silenced by Kaldi, is going to give an Ashbringer to RDU, so he's going to need Harrison Jones to at least negate the weapon, because if RDU gets that weapon, there's no armor generation right now on Kaldi's side.
That's what I liked about turn 8 Tyrion, Even if there's a full Dr. Boom on board, then you get a weapon, which can, kill the warrior in two swings. But the problem is, RDU doesn't know if there's any armor generating cards in Kaldi's hand.
Yep. He has to assume there's going to be some at some point, and the Shade gets taken out. Oh, that's a pretty bad outcome for RDU, knowing that his possible win, and he's frustrated right now. You can see in his face that he's just really sad about the outcome. He's like, you know what? Dr. Boom is balanced, and I'm not going to call up the Blizzard devs to tell them to fix it, but I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens.
Oh man, now the Sylvanas just denies the Tyrion drop.
RD is staring at his screen like, you know what, I guess I have to play this game anyway, so might as well just drop my stuff and play quickly, because I've got really no options past this point. He's gonna do his best, but he knows that Shade was a really important card for him to keep.
That Shade was game winning.
That's what it was.
Yeah, and now it's just denied. But the one thing that, basically apart from Brawl, that Boombot was the one thing that could have saved Kaldi from defeat in this game. Well, now the Cruel Taskmaster will buff Sylvanas most likely. Will it?
I guess you can buffer and attack into a 3-1. I mean, honestly, I don't know what Kaldi is so scared of. I guess he's just playing slowly to make sure he doesn't miss anything. But this whole thing is very, very easy for him to handle. Moving forward, I think he's got with it. Maybe he wants to just keep the Sylvanas to make sure
He just
doesn't
wants
get
to
punished.
trade, you know?
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe he wants to keep it to not get punished by Tyrion, but now there's a tiny opening for RDU.
Yeah, really tiny, really tiny.
But it's there. It is
But
there.
it's there, yeah. Sacrificing the Sylvanas is actually giving RDU a chance to win this game.
Yeah,
It's
he's
really
gonna
slight.
slam the Tyrion down. There's
Yeah.
no reason not to.
And Crucible Champion. Oh, that's bad. Never mind. Never mind. Josh, no, this is not losable at all, I think.
Well, it's not over yet. We don't know what RDU's carrying if he's got that Ragnaros. Things like if enough damage goes through, it's not impossible. So we'll see exactly what happens. It's gonna be really difficult for RDU. He's gonna need some kind of equality consecration in the very near future.
There's no consecration because he used one, and there's no equality because he didn't draw one. So
Yeah, he's gonna need it like immediately. Otherwise, I think this game is gonna go. Actually, yeah,
it's
this game
like-
is over next turn.
like
This game
1
is
million.
over.
1 million points of damage next turn. There's a consecration, but it doesn't do much.
It doesn't do anything at all. Actually, it might buff the frauding, so you have to smash yourself into it first, which means you die.
Really sad for RDU. I know he's my teammate, but you have to say he lost twice to RNG, RNG outcomes.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times I'd say RNG in Hearthstone is overplayed a little bit to the point where, yes, it's relevant, but in general, consistent players come out on top. But in this case, I would venture to say, and I think this is mostly applicable to the game against the Rogue, which got that sprint. That was the card to get, and the card followed by double Earthen Ring. I mean, it was an excruciating.
Yeah, he still
know-
had one turn to draw that Frostbolt, or like double Frostbolt or one Fireball to secure the win. So Kaldi takes it 3-0 against RDU.
Hardy's gonna.